Now the next day, when they had come from Bethany, he was hungry. That's Jesus. And seeing from afar a fig tree having leaves, he went to see if perhaps he would find something on it. Now, see, that's interesting right there, just the way that that's worded. He went to see if perhaps he would find something on it. Now, that's unusual. You would expect, with it having the leaves blossoming, that of course there would be something on it. But there's more to this story than what you think. He went to see if perhaps something was on it. When he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for it was not the season for figs. Now, it shouldn't have had leaves on it in the first place, but it did. And so I want you to notice Jesus' reaction to it. In response to that, Jesus said, "Let no one eat fruit from you ever again." Now doesn't that seem harsh? What did that fig tree ever do to him? That fig tree's just out there minding its own business. And here the Son of God comes by and curses it. And that fig tree said, "Woe is me. All bad stuff all the time happens to me. I was just minding my own business." You can just hear him telling the story to all of his fig tree buddies. Yep, there I was, just minding my own business. And here Jesus comes by and cursed me. And then I felt my roots start withering. Well, there had to be a reason that Jesus cursed this fig tree. And the reason that he cursed the fig tree is because the fig tree lied to him. Jesus wasn't expecting there to be any fruit on the fig tree. The Bible very clearly tells you it wasn't the time for there to be figs. So he's walking by and he's hungry. And so he happens to notice, look at that. Now that's odd. That fig tree over there has leaves on it. It shouldn't have leaves on it this time of the year, but it has leaves on it. I wonder if perhaps it has fruit on it also. But it didn't. So that tree had deceived him. And so he cursed it. Apparently, Jesus doesn't like being deceived. That's what I'm picking up from this. God doesn't like being deceived either. Doesn't like for us to try to deceive him. So he said, "Let no one eat fruit from you ever again." Now, when the Son of God says that over something, you can pretty much, as they say, ship his saddle home. It's done. But I want you to notice the last little part of that. And his disciples heard it. So this wasn't just a little private conversation that Jesus was having with the bush. He said it loud enough that his disciples heard it. Now, I want you to notice, and if I'm not mistaken, in the King James Bible it says that the fig tree answered him. So apparently Jesus and this fig tree are having a conversation. And the conversation, listen, the fig tree isn't talking words where he can hear. The fig tree is talking by deceiving him through leaves. Listen, what this is an example of is there are things out there in the world that are designed by the enemy to deceive you and draw you in. And your response when you see that is to curse it. Because if you do that, that thing will never bother you again. Now that's good preaching right there. When circumstances try to deceive you and draw you in, if you will take authority over them, they won't come back on you. Have y'all ever heard of the story of David and Goliath? Do you know that after the account that we have in 1 Samuel 17 in our Bible, that David never had to fight Goliath again? It wasn't like every year that they had to go do this all over again. The Bible says that David killed him twice. He slung the stone, it hit him in the forehead and killed him. And then the Bible says he grabbed the sword and went over and cut his head and killed him again. So he was double dead. Goliath wasn't going to ever come back and bother David again. And that's what happens. When things try to come against you, don't play with them. Get rid of them so that you don't have to face them again and go on about your business. So Jesus said something to the fig tree, and the fig tree heard him, and the disciples heard him. Well, you know, that's just weird. Jesus talking to a tree. You do it too. You talk to stuff. What happens if you get in your car and your car won't crank? You talk to your car? Yeah, and it's usually not nice. You no good for nothing piece of junk. I knew I should have never bought you in the first. Or hey, how about if you get up in the middle of the night and you're walking through the house and you run across the coffee table and you catch it on your shin? Do you talk to that coffee table? Oh yeah, you call that coffee table things that it would be impossible for it to do. Yeah, call it all kinds of names. So we do it. We talk to stuff. It just seems really odd for us to do that on the positive side. We do it on the negative side. But somebody that's going to walk in authority in the earth, somebody that's going to walk according to God's plans and statutes, somebody that's going to be a faith person that walks supernaturally, you have to learn to open your mouth and speak to things. You have to. Now then, drop down to verse 20 with me. In between here, Jesus has gone into Jerusalem and now he's come back out. Now in the morning, he's heading back into town. Verse 20. Now in the morning as they passed by, they saw the fig tree dried up from the roots. So they had gone into town. When they came back home, it was in the evening, so they didn't see it. So they're going back in town the next day, and as they go by, it has dried up from the roots. By the way, there's a lesson to be learned there. When you have to deal with something, when something's a problem in your life, deal with it at the roots. And Peter, remembering, said to him, Rabbi, look, the fig tree which you cursed has withered away. So Jesus answered and said to them, this is what we call a teaching moment. Have faith in God. Now, I wish that were worded a little differently, because literally that says, have God's faith, or have the God kind of faith. This is the way that God's faith operates, and He tells them to have it. Apparently, it was God's faith that cursed that fig tree. The way that God operates is what caused this to happen. So He's trying to teach them something here. For assuredly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be removed and be cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that those things he says will be done, he will have whatever he says. Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you will have them. For assuredly, King James Bible says verily. For verily I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be removed and be cast into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that those things that he what? Says. Notice it doesn't say just the thing that he says to the mountain.